That's one of my favorite parts is the smelling of them.
This almost smells stronger than this one.
Yep. That one's going to be, I would say, richer.
Yeah. This is like, it hits me. Like the smell just goes, wow, it's more present. This one is a little more muted.
And this one came out to have just a slightly lower acidic level than this one did. Because the Sumatran's roasted very dark.
So you said 5 scoops? Mm-hmm. All right.
Wow, this one does smell good. Like a candle out of that one.
Good coffee. So what I was going to say earlier, as I scoop this and probably make a mess everywhere, is some people love fruity coffee. Mm-hmm. I don't love fruity coffee.
Okay.
Like really fruity coffee. There's a place in Greenville. It's called Methodical Coffee. Great people. Like, love them. And there's another place too. It's closed down now, but it was like, it just tastes like you were drinking a blueberry and like just fruit style coffee.
Not too much.
And I very much prefer the earthy.
Okay.
Like what that was, like even the chocolate, the earthy, like that type of coffee is just like.
Gotcha. Okay.
Makes me happy.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
So if you would like the Sumatran taste in here, we can up that however much you want. Sometimes this Sumatran, I'll admit, prior to doing this, would not have claimed myself as a dark roast lover at all. And now I like it.
Doing this project right here,
yes.
You mean?
Well, no, just doing cool
coffee.
beans in general. Uh-huh. Yeah, I would never have walked into a coffee shop and said, give me whatever your dark roast is. Matt would have.
I used to like dark roast, but then I realized that light roast had more caffeine, and I assumed that light roast would feel better on my stomach. So then I drank light roast to get more caffeine, and I felt like dark roast hurt my stomach. But then actually, that really wasn't the case.
I mean, it would have been both, because you would have had more caffeine adding the acidity, but you probably were getting burnt coffee and dark roast.
That's the thing, because the dark roast from like Panera or Starbucks, it is harsh. And I felt the light roast felt better on my stomach, so I wasn't like going to the bathroom like 8 times in the morning. But that's interesting. That's interesting to know the difference. Okay, water time. All right.
So another thing is if you roast, and I'm sure you've seen this, like dark roast is when you start to get the oils that come out of the beans as well. So some people avoid dark roast because they think that the oils are clogging up their grinder, which it definitely does more than light roast. But as soon as you get to medium dark roast level, even if you let the beans sit a little bit, they develop a little differently. So you're releasing oils from those dark roast beans even after they're done roasting if they don't look oily, and then you open up the container the next day, you're going to notice those oils have started to come out as the beans rest.
Interesting. So is dark roast more of a pain to make then?
No, just takes a little bit longer. Takes a little bit better eye to know when to stop.
Okay, here's the one question that my wife asked. All right, questions for Taylor. This is more personal business type questions. Okay. So we're going to switch from coffee, exciting stuff, to like business things. Okay. How has your perception changed of owning a business before you started owning a business, now that you've owned a business?
Great question. Well, I know you already plugged Matt's interview in a little bit. So our first small business is Vice Armory, which is still in business. But that was my husband's kind of brainchild, and I really enjoy just doing the bookkeeping, and taking people's money is really fun, and counting the money. That is all gun related stuff, which I am 100% supportive, but know next to nothing about. So I really liked not being asked questions about things that I didn't know on repeat. So I kind of put myself in the background of that. But what that allowed is it built a really good foundation for me to see like the things behind the scenes of a business that people don't think of. A lot of people are like, I want to start my own business, and they have no idea how much work, how many late nights of like not fun stuff it is where you're going through QuickBooks and categorizing expenses or all of that stuff, hiring employees, any of that. So I will be honest, if I had done this one first, I would have just been excited about roasting coffee and then been like, wait, I have to do that. Wait, I have to do that.
A business side.
Yeah. So already doing that and kind of getting good at that stuff really set the ground for doing cool beans. And Matt was a huge proponent of that. I have loved coffee for a long time, but I definitely would not consider myself like a risk taker. And opening a small business is 100% risk taking. Yes.
It's scary.
So Matt was really encouraging about that. And I think I probably talked about coffee and owning a coffee shop enough times to one day he was like, then do it. Let's do it. And I was like, well, okay. And he's like, no, for real, do it. And so he really pushed me to do that. I don't know if I would have done it or if it would have just always been like a little fanciful dream.
Good job, Matt.
Yeah.
My wife and I actually have a podcast talking about the importance of the communication in a marriage when it comes to entrepreneurship. Do you feel that when it comes to you two now having separate businesses, do you ever feel like it's easy, like all you guys talk about is business, or is it easy for you guys to compartmentalize when you guys need to? How is that communication? Because my wife's a real estate agent. I own an insurance business. And so sometimes we have to check ourselves and we're like, we've only talked about business for the past 3 days. How are you doing? You know, do you guys feel ever that tension happening sometimes?
Definitely. And it's definitely hard when what you're doing is passionate too, because it's like, I just want to talk about coffee and like, I just want to talk about guns. And like, luckily we enjoy doing the business stuff together, but we definitely have to check that. Our biggest thing is we've noticed when we go on vacations, instead of using it as a vacation, we're like, look at all this time to do these things that I haven't done. I can schedule all these Facebook posts. I can get caught up on all these letters,
That's
emails.
kind of the life of a business owner.
Is.
Turning the word off is like not a word we know.
Yeah. So we really have realized that Matt's family goes to a remote little cabin as our family vacation every year, where the internet connection, you have to drive into town to send a text. And that really forced us to be like, wait, I don't need my phone.
Do you, which leads into the next question, as their timer's almost done, 5 seconds. How much of your job in the coffee business is hands-on roasting coffee versus the administrative side? That's so loud. Sorry, people. Go ahead.
That was an exciting alarm for coffee, though.
This makes me so happy. I'm like ready to try this.
What was your question again? How much is
like hands-on? Okay. And then how much is administrative in the coffee business?
Gotcha. So I probably should spend more time on the administrative side than I do. I like to let that stuff pile up, because if I have 2 hours that day to work on my business, and it's like,
to stir it, so I'm going to stir it.
It's okay. It'll still work.
It'll still be great.
Yep. So if I have 2 hours in my day where I can go roast coffee or I can sit on QuickBooks, I tend to opt to roast coffee and let that other stuff pile up. And so I definitely need to work on that. But it's definitely heavier on the roasting side, especially because I do the small batch roasting, which I will not change.
It sounds time intensive.
It is a little bit. But I won't change it because you just lose quality to change it.
Is this scalable though?
It is a little bit. Yep. So the next machine up, I can double my sizes. But it is going to be a learning curve, because the next size up is very, you can hook it up to computers and track it that way. So essentially you could get to a point where I perfect it and you say Guatemalan medium roast, go. Done. But it also is kind of fun because I'm still learning. Sometimes I make a little bit lighter roast than I did last time, and I'm like, oh, I like that so much better. So that's what I do from now on. When you play around,
that's how you learn. That's how you create.
And if I just had a button, I don't think I would do that as much. I think I would be like, I have 30 minutes to roast this batch.
And I have orders. I got to get these orders out. And that's true.
It allows, even like when you asked me to make a blend, I was like, yeah, because the taste testing process, like this is the most fun science experiment I've ever done.
Yeah, I could tell by our messages that I was nervous for a little bit. I'm like, no, Taylor's having fun with this. Like, this is exciting. All right, Matt, you going to come join us again for this batch, brother?
Matt and my dad are my official taste testers. So they like when I bring them
All right, you want me to pour for everybody? Is that fine?
Great. Thank
All
you.
right, cool. So similar on the light, like smooth look and the pour.
Yep, really what you're going to notice the difference is you're going to get a little bit of earthy tone, and that brown spice has a hits your tongue different.
I'm excited. I didn't stir this one, so it might be a little weaker. So that's on me. I told you guys that I was making it, and it was going to... All right, here we go.
So you got to smell first, because you can definitely smell the difference.
Oh, you can smell the difference.
You can smell the earthy. So that's in the Sumatran.
Interesting. All right, here you go. Ready?
I think you did a good job.
Yeah. It's not bad. What do you think, Matt?
I gotta go back. I didn't clear the palate,
Oh,
so
no.
that wasn't palate clear.
Do you want me to put some water in this
No,
glass
I'm
real
good.
quick?
I'm
Okay.
good. Again, it's to me that tastes like a much darker, but it's not that like Maxwell House. You're gonna be you're gonna regret it
It's
later.
just still smooth. Like that's the thing. It's still smooth. You guys are in charge of the mic now.
Okay.
So when you guys take turns talking, you guys are in charge of that. Okay, so my initial thought is it's equally as pleasant to drink. So it's both just felt good, and neither one of them hit you strong. So neither one of them were just like, that like bitter taste. They're both smooth. I can definitely taste something different, and I'm still trying to like hone in on what the taste is.
I almost feel like you feel this one different, almost than it's almost not even a taste. It hits your tongue, and that's
I can
that
taste
spice.
that black spice. I was about ready to say that's what that feeling on your tongue.
Yeah, and it's like,
It's
what
like
is
almost,
that?
Is it like
I don't know.
tingly almost a little bit? Like it has you know what I'm talking
Like
about?
the same effect cinnamon would
Man,
have.
look at us being coffee connoisseurs. This is
Now,
great.
see, the real experiment would be if I hadn't read you those flavor tones.
Oh, no
that's
clue.
a different
no
one. Mm-hmm.
clue. I'd be like, ketchup.
So next time I'll hide the
hide the bag.
You that
Oh, please
side
don't.
And be like,
I mean, well, we'll get there. I'll warm up.